This goes over how to make stop motion water in Maya. Another technique is Bifrost, covered in a different video. This starts using a blend shape and also a water that gets animated upward, and using transformer will be distorted as well. And we'll see that in the next few moments. These blend shapes were created from this original sphere, and moving the vertices create the different distortions. Create as many as you want. You could also use a deformer around it to help you create distortions. Also, the axis was set to the back of each one after distorting it. And that will just help control where the distortion happens. Start by selecting the blend shapes in order. And after they've been connected, they can be hidden from the scene. I'm going to leave them exposed in the scene for now. Then shift-click on the original object, which is water 0, and go under Deform, Blend Shape. Open up the Shape Editor, Windows, Animation Editor, Shape Editor. And you can just try out Blend Shape. I'm going to deselect everything. So there's water peeking out. And that will be animated to more water streaming out, even more water coming on down. This will have to be pushed down and animated. Another pour of water. It's getting smaller. And finally, the last drop that will be put into the cup. Next step is to set up the deformation of the water. I'm going to select this object, and I'm going to shift control on this ring, P key. And the reason for this, as the water pours in, I want to animate this coming up. To deform the surface, select some vertices on the surface. And that will be our deformer. If you don't want them to be so rubbery, turn off soft selection and get a harder surface. You could use a higher density surface as well. For this animation, I'm just going to shrink just a little bit the fall off. To control the vertices and to animate them, going under Animation, Deform, and using Cluster. And Cluster creates a grouping of those vertices. In the Shape Editor, click on all the keys when you're at frame 0. Move 5 frames forward. Quick way to get to frame 5 is just to type it there. We're already there. Then morph to the first target. Make sure you click on all the keys so there's no blending of the other shapes together. Go to frame 10. Increase to the next object while going backwards. And again, click on all the keys. So far, that's the animation, frame 15. Moving that one forward and clicking on all the keys as well, including the first one. Frame 20. And so on. Scrub for the timeline. What this now needs, so it doesn't look like a slinky, is a little animation happening. So find the appropriate moment, let's say around frame 20. Selecting your object out in the viewport, pressing the S key. And let's say go to frame 30 and just move that object into the cup. Oh, look, it suspends itself in midair. That's fascinating. So let's move that key back a little bit. Maybe even a little further. There it goes. And then let's make it disappear beneath the surface. So that's the first part. The next part is this is happening. within the cup of water. You want the cup of water's water level to rise. Let me lower it here. And right now there's no water in the cup. And let's say around here, let's make it frame 30. S key for the ring. And by frame 40, you fill that cup up. As this is happening, there's a little wobbliness in the surface. Zooming in the outliner, I selected the cluster handle. When I say wobbliness, let's say somewhere around here. Frame 30. That cluster maybe goes up a little bit. Frame almost, might as well make it 35. It goes down a little bit. Frame 40 goes up a little bit. Frame 45 bounces back down. By frame 50 just settles in. And by frame 50 it just settles in. If you want it a little more extreme, maybe on this uptick, it comes out a little bit more. If this is your camera angle, you're not going to notice the other blend shapes. If the other blend shapes are interfering, you can select all of them and just push them somewhere else. Either higher up or usually below the floor surface works. There's that last one. And even if you move them down, that's not going to interfere with the animation that was already done. Let's create the pouring action. I'm going to rotate this box. S key on the first frame, and by frame 5, it's at this location a few seconds before that, such as 5 frames before it, not even a few seconds. Maybe it was like this. S key. Now the box pours out like that. I'll animate the substance in the box so it's not peeking through. Frame 1, it's a little higher up. You can rotate it if you want. And by frame 5, it's lower, coming on out. And there's your stop motion magic in Maya. The last magic trick is the color of the material. I selected the object and I applied an AI standard surface, and the type of standard surface material preset I applied is honey. I used replaced. To get it more water looking, go under the material, its transmission. Instead of color for yellow and scatter here, you could select a bluish. And scattering maybe a little darker blue here. But if it's tea, maybe honey is a good color for it. Go a little brighter on that. So that will give it a more watery color.